So I'm still technically at work. Um, got got like a free minute or two, but I am going to be lifting today. Looks like it's going to be bench, but it's deload week, so it's a little bit lighter. So hopefully tendonitis and all that kind of stuff goes away. Um, but we'll kind of cover that stuff on the car talk there or the car talk back. So we'll see. But yeah, all right, let's get into it.
All right, so it is cold and really dark already. It is 6:12, but gotta go hit this deload workout. Should be okay. We'll see. Um, but yeah, I'll keep you guys updated, and we'll talk afterwards. All right, let's get it.
Okay, so that was a lot better than it was a couple days ago. I just did something pretty simple though. It was just a deload single. So basically, for those of you who don't know what that means in powerlifting, um, so a deload single in powerlifting means that you have a week where you you don't hit the brakes, but you basically let off the gas a little bit. You give your body a second to kind of just breathe, if you will. And when it comes to that, usually that means something a little lighter, like difficulty of like 6 or 7 out of 10. And I was actually able to hit a pretty high number today. I hit 315 for that RPE single, and it looked really well, moved how I wanted it to. So that was a plus. But yeah, no, it was a lot better of a day today. And I guess that kind of feels weird to say because like my tendonitis kind of subsided, so I feel better, which I think I already talked about. But the biggest thing was that I've had this weird thing where it's like my shoulder slash like my upper right arm. And I was kind of worried going in. I was like, uh-oh, like, is this going to be good or bad? I couldn't tell. And in doing so, I was like, all right, I guess we're just going to have to bench and see pretty much. And it's not hurting a little bit. It's like a little bit of a sensation in my elbow slash like my shoulder and in between. But overall, it's not that bad. And I was really happy with that. But also, I was kind of sick coming into today because I worked virtually from home today for work because, again, like I said, I was just feeling crappy. I woke up a lot last night, couldn't eat too much today, so I was just like, oh boy, this is going to be an interesting lift. Even for a deload, I was like, I'm probably not even going to hit what I want to hit, which I did. That was the single that I wanted. But the main thing that I learned, I think, today was that you can make as many and as much like as many excuses as you want because of circumstances, but you can still show up and have a hell of a day. So that's kind of where that leads me to, is just circumstantial wise, like tendonitis and my hip being the way that it is right now, which is a whole nother thing, and not feeling the best going in and having this weird other thing. Circumstances say I should have had a really bad day, shouldn't have been able to do anything, I should have just not lifted. But at the same time, once you've trained a decent amount and you know your bodily limits, you can know when too much is too much, or when too much is your body resisting and you saying, well, I have a little bit more in the tank. And that's kind of what my thinking was I was coming in today and I was taking the warm-ups light slash at a reasonable pace. And I'm like, all right, let's see what we can do, So from that, I guess, is where I kind of figured out that as soon as I hit 275 as my last warm-up, which I usually do just because I don't want to gas myself out, and wanting to hit like a lower like difficulty lift, if you will, and that moved really fast, I was thinking, all right, 300 or 315, and that the top being my goal. And I was like, all right, let's take it. Let's just see what it looks like. Because even if anything, I knew that I was going to hit it. I just didn't know how difficult it was going to be, and it flew, and I was happy with it. And that's the thing, is I could have psyched myself out going in mentally, because that's the thing, is that going into a lift mentally, you have to kind of check yourself, because if you ego boost yourself to, oh, I'm going to hit it, I'm going to hit it, I'm going to hit it, and then all of a sudden it feels heavy, or it doesn't move how you wanted it to, or it doesn't move at all, not only do you feel crappy, your ego takes a hit, and then you start second guessing yourself all the way through every single other lift. And that's not good. That's not good. And that's the thing, is that going into this lift, I was like, all right, you know what? It's probably going to be hard. This lift is probably going to suck. It's probably not going to be what I want it to be. But you know what? I'm going to show up, because that's half the battle, is showing up. And I'm going to mentally check myself saying, okay, if it's hard, we knew that walking in. And if it's easy, do not let it go to your head, because you are walking on thin ice right now as it is with the stuff that you have going on. And because of that, it moved I moved what I wanted to move as well as I wanted to move it. And I walked away happy, which is the biggest thing. So that's kind of what I'm getting out of this, is I need to be careful, but I can't limp my way to the finish line. I need to make sure that I'm giving myself enough room to actually either walk on those kind of circumstances. So that's all I would say, is just kind of be weary of that kind of stuff and know your limits, good and bad ways, in the sense that don't push yourself too hard, but also know when to push yourself and know when technically you're being a bitch. So that's kind of what I've learned today. Side note, it snowed here today in good old Indiana, and I was not ready for it to be this cold. And I have a jerk. Anyway, so was not ready for this at all, and it's already 30-something degrees here, standing as it's nightfall. So that's a side note thing. But no, back on topic, I would say that when it comes to like lifting or basically anything, is that you need to learn how to hone your skill to know your own limits, to know when to push and to know when to pull back a little bit on the reins. And it's not for ego boosting, it's not for playing it safe, it's for playing it smart. That's the difference. Playing it safe is that you could take anything and you feel like, oh, I have it, but you're like, I'm not sure, I'm going to play it safe. No one has ever succeeded while playing it safe. You need to play it smart. So when you walk in and you're like, okay, I could take it, but I'm not sure, but I think I got it, and I'm positive that I can get it. It's going to be a grind or this or that. Either talk with your coach about it, if you have a coach, or talk to your superior or anything like that. And this goes for anything. This goes for work. This goes for lifting. This goes for anything. All I would say is just play it smart. And from that, what you need to learn is when you play it smart, you win smart. You learn something about yourself, whether that's, oh, my brain's like stopping me when I had that for sure, or, oh, my brain was telling me that I didn't have that and I took it and it was bad and I didn't have it, and that kind of took a hit like on me. Well, then you learn for next time. And that's the thing, is that the other thing that I like having is it proves, and this is just like, for me, it proves that my head gives up way before I do. When, for lifting, for example, when I start recording my lifts, there are times where I'm lifting and I'm like, man, that was slow. Like I'm just like, man, that did not move fast at all. I'm probably going to have to go way lower than my range says. I'm not going to be able to hit my lifts at all. And then I go look back at that video and I'm like, that moved faster than it did last week. And it's the sheer fact of, like, sometimes your brain says, oh, that was heavy, like, oh, don't do anything else. But then you watch it and you're like, that moved like I could have done it 7 more times. That's another thing, is that just proves that your brain plays tricks on you. But the thing is that people say, oh, it plays tricks on you. Well, no, I mean, it's a survival instinct. It's a survival instinct of, hey, that's really heavy. We shouldn't be messing with this kind of weight because that's heavy and it's dangerous. Danger, 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 red flag, red lights, everything. But the thing is that when trying to grow strength, your body doesn't want to technically grow to be stronger. Like, you need to force yourself to grow stronger, but your body naturally starts to lean / sway towards comfortability. It tries to find its homeostasis of just being comfortable, being satisfied, whether that's for like, oh, I just want to lay on the couch and not go to the gym today, or oh, like this kind of stuff. That's just your body. That's human beings. That's the way of nature, is that if you're not in survival mode and you are comfortable, then your body wants to stay as comfortable as possible as long as possible. And that's what I've found is when it comes to lifting, that I've realized, just with like my video example, your body wants to be comfortable. If you push it and it's like, oh, this feels heavy, like I don't want to push anymore, you have to tell yourself, well, you're pushing further because I'm telling you to push further, and I'm going to make you push harder. And naturally what will happen is you as a person will be like, okay, I know that I can take this, or I know this, or I know that kind of thing, and you get a feel for it. But that's what I've learned, is that when it comes to these kind of situations and these kind of scenarios, you have to learn how to push yourself. You have to learn how to tell your body when it's had enough. You can't let your body tell you when you've had enough. That's the difference. That's what makes somebody great. That's what makes somebody able to achieve their goals, achieve what they want in life, is that you need to learn that your circumstances and environment can affect you if you let them affect you. There are many times that great men or outstanding entrepreneurs or business owners or anything like that, if you look at what happened between the very start and when they actually had their name out there, sometimes they had to go bankrupt. Sometimes they had to push themselves to the limit that they didn't know was their limit, and they thought their limit was 3 miles back. Like, they have to push themselves and push the limits of what people say like is humanly possible or inhumanly possible or isn't viable yet. Well, it's impossible until somebody makes it happen, until somebody does it. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I've found is, with lifting in mind, the best example that I have of this is Eddie Hall when he lifted 500 kilos. Nobody could lift 500 kilos. Like, people came close, but they were like, oh, it's inhumanly possible. It is not possible for a human to lift that much. Blah, 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 blah. And then he did it. And then you know what happens? Thor hits it multiple times. He goes over 500 kilos. That's the thing, is that it's impossible until somebody does it. And then all of a sudden, when your brain says, oh, well, it is humanly possible to do it, then you're able to do it. Like, then you can say, oh, well, then it's possible, it's a goal. Sometimes you have to set your goal so high that people think that you're nuts. And that's the thing, is that then you get the satisfaction once you've hit that goal to prove everybody around you wrong and make your goal that you hit other people's goals. I've made it moment. That's what I've learned, is that sometimes when the odds are not in your favor, when they are so against you, it is ridiculous, and most people would give up. That's when you need to dig and do. That's when you need to absolutely try your hardest. Because that's the thing, is that survival instinct can kind of work in this sense, because if you're on a raft in the middle of the ocean and no one's coming to save you, you're going to figure out a way to save yourself, or you're going to figure out how to survive, or you drown. Same principle, is that when it comes to trying that adaptability and trying to make things work, you will find a way if it is your only way. It's really easy when it's your only choice. That's what I found out. When the choice that you want to make and you only have one choice and all you can do is make it work, it's pretty easy to choose. So, in all honesty, that's what I would say, is just learn that your brain will give up on you way before your body will. and your brain will give up on you way before you hit your goals. And because of that, you need to learn how to push past your mental barriers, because your brain will seek comfortability over superiority. And if you want it bad enough, you got to make it work. But that's what I would say my lesson is today, is that when it comes to going for a goal or doing what you want to do, you need to make sure that you push yourself and you do what's best for you when other people are telling you that you're nuts, because that is when you're going to prove everybody around you wrong. And that's when you're going to prove to yourself that you have what it takes to do what people said was impossible. But until next time, guys, peace.